to the Posh Podcast. We have our guest today, Carla Jean, 143, Miss Carla. We had just said before we started recording, she was away in Mexico for a beautiful vacation with friends. She just got back on Monday. This is her first Posh thing back. So thank you for hopping on with me and spending some time with me, your lunch break with me today.
Yes, of course.
We're talking before the show as well. You have a lot planned in February. We've seen you all over Posh. We know you as Carla Jean 143. But tell us, who is Carla when she's off Poshmark? Who is Carla outside of Carla Jean 143?
Oh my gosh. I'm many things. So as of this moment, I work full time. I work for a large county nearby. I do not live in that county, but I live near it. I actually write legislation for that county. So my official title is I'm a codewriter, but when I tell people I'm a codewriter, they think that I write software, right? And I don't do that. So basically what that means is in every jurisdiction, city or county, there is something called the municipal code. It's the rules for that county or that city that allows you to do or not do things, whether it's building or running a business or whatever. And so I work with all the different departments within the county to update code that maybe the state is mandating, which they have been crazy busy this year in mandating some regulations. So that means that our code needs to be updated. So I look at our code, work with subject matter experts in other departments, and then I figure out what needs to be updated, and then I write the legislation, and then it goes through the adoption process. It can take up to 2-3 years for a project to be done. So there is no instant gratification in my job, and I work primarily on my own. I have a team, but we all work with other departments. We don't necessarily work with one another. And I work from home. So it can be a little isolating and a little lonely at times. And therefore I have my Posh radio on most of the day in my ear so that you guys are hanging out with me. I'm hanging out with you guys while I'm working. So in a nutshell, that is what I do currently. But I have had including we won't include Posh. This is my third career in my lifetime, and I'm about to turn 50. So.
But I know there's more to you than your job.
Yeah.
So what if someone said, like, tell me about yourself?
Okay.
What are your interests? What do you like to do? Or whatever.
Yeah.
What you want the people out on the YouTube world to know about Carla? What do you want them to know about you?
I love to adventure, and that doesn't always mean like hiking up a mountain, but for me, it does. And I love to hike. I live in a beautiful area to do so. If you're familiar with Washington State, I live on the Olympic Peninsula, which is the west side of Seattle across the Puget Sound. And it's probably the most beautiful place in the world, I think, although I have not been to every place in the world. I have been to many, many places in the world. I love to travel. Just like you had mentioned, I just got back from Mexico. Last year, I went to Finland. I've been to Bali and Thailand and Nicaragua and Costa Rica. I mean, I've been to lots and lots of places. Some of them were through yoga. So yoga is a big part of my life. I used to be a yoga teacher for almost 2 decades. I ran my own yoga studio for 5 years before I got into what I do now. And so I do yoga, I meditate. I'm big into like the energy of things as far as health goes and social interactions and just my own social responsibility. What else do I do? I have a son. I was a single mom. I'm like, what else do I do? My son is almost 26. And so he travels for work. And I've been blessed to be able to go visit him on several occasions in San Diego. Currently, he's in Japan. And I was planning on going to visit him in a few months. But right before I went to Mexico, he called and gave me the most amazing news and said that him and his longtime girlfriend are expecting a baby. This is breaking news on the Posh Podcast. I have not shared this. So
I'm so happy
I'm
for
going to be a
you.
grandma. I'm so excited.
That is so
So he
exciting.
is coming home early, earlier than expected, because the baby is due at the end of May. And so he will be back. So there's a lot happening for me currently. So I will be moving in with my longtime partner of almost 7 years, moving in with him. And then my son and his partner and the baby will take over the house that I own here. Yeah, there's a lot. There's a lot. I mean, this all just happened like very, very quickly. So, yeah. So with that said, I thought I was going to bring this up when you brought up Wild and Free. So I did host my very first train, Wild and Free, and we are postponing that just for a while because I have a lot going on. So Wild and Free is not dead. It's just not going to happen on a monthly basis for a while. So I just wanted to throw that out there. But, I'm a huge animal lover. I just recently, sadly, had to say goodbye to a senior dog that I had adopted about 2 years ago. I had her for 18 months, and she was amazing, and she was the best dog I've ever had in my whole life. And I was able to give her a loving life in her golden years and send her off in the best way possible. So if I had my way, wave my wand, I would own a senior dog sanctuary and just have all the senior dogs and just love them as they should until their time to go. So I do have a cat who thinks she's a dog because she's been raised by dogs. And so I have her, Miss Ruby. Sometimes you guys will see her in my shows because she really likes attention. I love to cook. I'm a huge foodie. I like to eat, so I like to cook. And you had mentioned me trying to get into YouTube. I want to start recording some of my like super simple but healthy, clean eating type recipes. Like I make my own granola, I make my own croutons, I make my, there's just a lot of stuff you don't have to buy at the store that you could make better, healthier at your home. On top of all of that, a lot of you know that this past October, I just celebrated 1 year being breast cancer free. So I went through that for a year. And so I'm really, really even more so into the clean eating part because I have opted not to take certain medication that just like for quality of life purposes is not something that I can live with. And so in doing the trade-off for that is that I just really want to be mindful about being as healthy as possible. So the clean eating part is huge. I just recently went alcohol free. My vacation was alcohol free, guys. So if you follow me on Instagram and you saw all the nonsense that was happening, that was without alcohol. So
I would not have guessed that.
I know. I kept putting that in the comment part because I'm like, they're just gonna think I'm hammered and being this ridiculous. And I'm like, nope, that's just me. Janelle can attest for it. They were like, what is happening? I had a lot of energy. So but yeah, it was my first vacation with the girls. Well, with anyone, but the my first girl trip, alcohol free. So yeah, it was fun. It was a good time. I'll tell you, there's some amazing mocktails out there in Mexico. I just like keep them coming. So yeah, so that's I'm like, that's it. That's all I do. That's me in a nutshell.
I love this first question because in our shows, we're busy selling. And
Mhm.
so maybe people get these bits and pieces or these little stories of us, but what an awesome way to just get this whole well-rounded picture of you. I know that you have such a kind soul, and you spoke to that in your love for animals. I know that you are quite the adventurer, so I'm glad that you got to say, like, I went to all of these places. You're, I know you doing some yoga things on Poshmark. I didn't know you owned a yoga studio, so I can see
Mhm.
how your previous life is now tied into your Posh life. And then, what I hear the most is that there are so many passions that you have. The only
Mhm.
issue is time. It's like, okay, well, I know work takes up this much, and now what else can I? What do I want
Mhm.
to take the time for and what can I fit? So that you were in yoga and now you're
Oh yeah.
in legislation. And so that's probably good for our next question of how did you find yourself getting into reselling, getting onto Poshmark, getting into live shows, and now being this awesome, successful friend who is running great shows, starting her own train, being recruited for trains? Give us the timeline. Give us the story of how you became Carla Jean 143.
Okay, well, I have two little backstories also that will give you some context. So,
Yeah.
one is my partner, Scott, of 7 years. We met through work. And so he met me while I was going back to school, working full time. And I decided to go back to school to get my master's to do community planning, which is what I'm considered as in my career. And I also moved, and all these things. So he met me doing 50 things in 24 hours, right? And so whenever one thing falls off, I graduated, I moved for the last time, not really, because now I'm going to move in with him. I will say things like, oh, by the way, I bought a condo in Tacoma because it's closer to school. And so I need you to help me move there. And it's like 45 minutes away from him. And he's like, okay. Like, he's so supportive. He's like the best partner ever. Or I say things like, oh, I'm so happy I graduated and now I can just focus on work. By the way, I adopted a senior dog. I would like you to come over and meet him. Like, or meet her, and she's going to take up all this time of mine. And so whenever one thing sort of drops off, he kind of like relaxes, and then but he knows there's going to be something else. So I got my dream job, this job that I have now. It's what I've been working for the past 5 years, as far as like going back to school and working my way up, hopping, you know, taking a temporary position, and 2 hours away from my house so that I can get that on my resume and commute like a crazy person. And so I finally achieved what I've been working for 5 years. And then I found Poshmark. um, and I originally started selling clothes. This was in 22, actually. I didn't know about lives. I don't think lives were a thing yet. I don't know. Because I had lost a bunch of weight. And so and I hear this a lot. Like, so I was like, how can I get, so I sold those clothes online. And then I found my way back to Poshmark because I was trying to purge some stuff, and I stumbled upon live shows, and I found a couple really amazing live show hosts that were really encouraging. Like, I was just watching them, and I'm like, the people in the chat were engaging, and like there was something happening between the host and the people, and it was more than just selling clothes. There are sellers out there they are just selling clothes, and those are typically the shows I don't sit around and watch for very long. And so I started chatting with people in the chat, and then I started chatting with the hosts, and it was like I was making new friends. And as an adult, that's like really difficult sometimes, especially when I work from home and I sit in my house all day long. And then, I don't really have a much interaction, other than going to the grocery store, getting gas, things like that. So I started like saying things in shows like, how did you get, we get those questions now, like, how did you get started? What do I need to know? And I'm nervous. And there were two sellers in particular that were like, that I visited very often. And they were like so encouraging. And it was Miss Lily Collette, Miss Michelle, and it was Shop A Garrett, Miss Angie. And they were so sweet, amazing, genuine people that I thought, okay, I'm just going to try it. Like, I have no problems talking in front of people. I taught yoga in different countries. I've taught at huge conferences. I've taught in prisons. I've taught at, I've been in very uncomfortable spaces doing something that you have to be very calm and centered and grounded in. And so I was like, I think I could do this. What's the worst thing? I just turn it off and nobody knows, like I'll just run away. And I tried it, and people, I will tell you, I literally had my clothes laid out in front of me on my dining room table, like right here in front of me, like you couldn't see them. And I was just like pulling them up, and people were chatting, and I don't know, people seemed to like what I got going on. I don't know. People just were like talking to me. And then I couldn't figure out how to do things, and people were tagging their friends to like come into the chat to like help me. We like my son. Thank you.
Mm-hmm.
And just, it was this one person who tagged a friend to come in, and it was late. It was like 9:00 Western time, Pacific time. And she was on the East Coast, didn't know me from nobody. She co-hosted in and talked me through how to do this thing. And I was hooked. I was just like, even at like a regular job, to ask someone for help. I mean, sometimes you get like, I don't have time, or, whatever. But like, she had no problem helping me. To this day, I've never seen her before again. Like but she helped me. So I started doing lives, and then I graduated from clothes on the table to clothes on the chair where you couldn't see them. And then I had this little tiny ring light, and then I got a bigger ring light. And like, I watched so much, I researched so many shows.
Market research.
And all the purchases I made were just so I could learn how to package things, and how to, that's so, yeah. And then I grew up with a mom who loves to thrift, garage sales, all the things. And so I started, first was obviously selling my own clothes, and then those ran out. So then I had to go find some more clothes. So we started going to the thrift stores and doing that. And so really it's been like the encouragement and support on the other side of the camera that has kept me going and doing it. And the second story I mentioned at the beginning, I wanted to give you context about two things. And the second story starts 20 years ago, and it'll connect, I promise. When my son was 5, I was going through like I had just gone through a divorce from his dad. We were high school sweethearts. He was my best friend. He broke my heart, all the things. And I was barely keeping it together. Like, the only reason why I got out of bed every morning is because I had this amazing little human that I had to get out of bed for. And he was definitely worth it. But he came home from school one day, like Mother's Day, when they make little things for their moms or dad or moms. He'd made those little books where they fill in the story, right? It'll say like, I love my mom because, and then they like draw a picture and write a word. One of the pages, and I'm reading it, and I'm kind of like going through the motions every day. Like, I wasn't really present. I hadn't quite found yoga yet. And I turn the page, and one of the pages, it says, my mom never, and then he had to fill it in, and he wrote gives up. And I lost it. Because every single day when I went to bed, I just wanted to give up. And every single morning I forced myself not to give up. And for him to see that, not that he saw that, but he felt that, right? Like, he felt that. And so I have never forgotten that. He is my little, he's not so little anymore. He's ginormous, but he is, we're all sent angels to guide us through good and bad times. And he was definitely my angel. And so I took that reminder through everything, like every trauma, every struggle, every pivot, even especially the forced pivots that we try to resist. And so I've had, like I said, I've had many jobs. I was a bank person. I was a banker forever. Hated it, but I was good at it. And then went into going back to school and then owning my own business. Sad, sad, sad day when I had to close it after 5 years. But now that I look back, it was right before COVID. And so it was another blessing in disguise. And because it wouldn't have survived in the small town that I live in, it just wouldn't have survived. And I had to take this temporary job at a planning department, and I didn't even know what planning was. Like, I was like event planner, or, like, who knows what community planning is? I had no idea. All I knew is I needed a job. My son was a senior in high school. He was applying to all these colleges. I had just closed my business and I had no paycheck coming in. So I took this temporary admin assistant job. You guys, I didn't even know what an admin assistant did. Like, I literally learned my job from YouTube. I lied my way through that interview. Yes, of course I can. It's like, has anyone seen the movie
good.
Don't Tell Mom the Babysitter's Dead with Christina Applegate?
Yep.
When her boss tells her, if I ever say something and you don't know, all I want to hear you say is, I'm right on top of it, Rose. And that's exactly how I got through that first part of my job. I never gave up on it. I learned, I worked long hours. And then I got offered a permanent administrative assistant position in that department. And I started learning more about what planning did. Now, my whole life, I've always wanted to do good things for other people. And I always thought it was going to be something grand, like a social worker or, humanitarian of some sort, Well, what I started to realize is that community planning is like one of the best ways that you can serve your community, because you are boots on the ground. You are talking to people. You're asking them, what kind of community do you want to live in? What can we bring you? What do you need? And as a humanitarian at heart, and as a feminist, and as a single mother, I felt like, and as a person who's not afraid to use her voice, I thought, I can do this. This is what I need to do. Like, I need to be a community planner, and so that I can make sure that those who are often forgotten are no longer forgotten. And so I went back to school. I was still an administrative assistant, and I went back to school, finished my BA, had not even finished that in a year. And then I applied for grad school at UW, University of Washington. Sorry. Locals just say UW. University of Washington, and I got accepted, which I was shocked. But so I went to grad school when I was 40 and started over. My son and I started our first year of college in the same year. He went to school in Arizona, and I started at UW same year. And it was supposed to be a 2-year program, but I worked full time. And so it ended up being a 3-year track for me, but because I wanted to quit, and I just kept remembering that story. My mom never gives up. And I thought, damn straight. So I didn't give up, and I just kept going, got it after 3 years. And like I said, I just sort of been hopping around 3 different positions until I got my dream job now. And I love my job, and finding Poshmark has balanced out my work life, because like I said, I work from home. I work very independently. I'm very self-motivated. And so, I do work well with others. I just prefer not to, because I get more done, honestly. And Poshmark has given me, so I can give back to the community as a community planner, but then the way I've approached my shows is not just about selling stuff, but also about making connection and it provides me a purpose. And I look forward to it. However, after it started to take off and I started to accept more and more train shows, and I would say, Scott, guess what? And I'd like tell him all these things. And then the final was, I've started my own train show. He was like, this is all he says to me. Of course you did. Of course you did. Like, he doesn't ever say, he never tells me I need to slow down. He never tells me he knows that once I decide, it's decided, like, and it will happen. But at the same time, if I need to pivot, if I need to soften, I will pivot and soften. Because if you don't, you break. And so that is how my two stories relate to my journey to where I am at now. I will say that I'm beyond grateful for the time I had running my own business, although it was extremely, extremely difficult because nobody tells you how to run a yoga studio. I dare you to try to Google it. You're not going to find any guidance whatsoever. But I take what I've learned and I add it to my Posh shows or my Posh business, which I never thought it would be a business, but it's turned into that. And so I had been off of social media since I closed my yoga studio because it was a time suck for me, for my mental energy, my mental well-being. It just wasn't good. You get sucked down rabbit holes, or you get trapped in like the comparison game and all of that. And so I even resisted it when I started Poshmark. But then I started having FOMO because there was so much happening with Instagram.
Talking about how Posh has become a business for you.
Mm-hmm. And integrating the yoga, what I've learned from my yoga studio. Even my shows have evolved. So I finally found, so there were people that were like, do yoga on Poshmark, or, and I tried different things here and there, and you will always know people say in your gut, but it's more like between your heart and your gut. It's like right here, like you get the butterflies or you get the dread or whatever. And so my Sunday shows at 2 Eastern, Stress-Free Sundays, is this marriage of what I'm passionate about. So yes, we do sell some stuff and buy some stuff, but I also teach 60-second or less stress management techniques that you can do throughout the week to help you manage your stress. When I got sick, it was weird because I got diagnosed with breast cancer. I never felt sick at all. They caught it really early. I still had to go through the treatment process, but the treatment makes you feel sick and you didn't feel sick before. It's just like this weird mental capital F word. And so, but stress management and inflammation, lowering my inflammation has become my number one priority. So whenever I approach anything, or say yes to anything or no, I try to stop and ask myself, like, is this going to help me in my journey to managing my stress? Because we're all going to be stressed. There's you're not going to live a life of no stress. And so you just managing it and being able to use those tools, and then also lowering my inflammation, which you can, get, obviously, like you're focusing on your gut health is my number one easiest way to manage my inflammation, because what we eat is really, really important. So those are my two priorities. And so when I was looking at how do I want my shows to serve the people who are showing up, because many of us sellers have said, you guys can pick from a million, hundreds and thousands of shows. And we all are basically selling the same thing, right? As far as the material items, right? Like Lisa and I could probably just randomly pull something and they would be similar. And so it's not about the things. It's about the connection. And when you're authentically yourself, people connect with you. And what do I have other than your items that I can give back? And so that was where Stress-Free Sunday came in for me, was like, if I can just give you a 30-second tool that you can use when you're in your minivan and your kids are screaming and throwing Cheerios at each other, and the guy in front of you is like on his phone and you're already 35 minutes late, that's my gift. And so I know that I'm good at it. And there's nothing wrong with declaring what you're good at. We're too busy sharing what we're not good at or what we don't like about ourselves. And so I champion everyone to really like lean into what you're good at. I'm good at connecting with people. I'm good at listening. I'm good at observing. I'm good at sensing energy, even if it's through a camera. It's a gift that I've had since I was little. It formed through trauma, but I've taken and renamed it, and I use it, my powers, for good and not evil.
Mm-hmm.
And so I try to bring that on Stress Free Sunday. Now, if people want to buy my items while they're there, that's great. The whole reason why I continue, not just the whole reason, but the reason why I continue to actually sell stuff is because I am trying to pay off my debt. I want to retire in 5 years. And which would put me at 55, and I want my Poshmark business and my wellness/lifestyle offerings to be my business in 5 years, be my sole focus. And so weaving all of those things together, like I'm creating a website that is hopefully an offering to help people. What's the right word? To help people structure. Like in my brain, I'm just now seeing like all of these blocks and people being able to go, oh, this will work for me, and oh, this will work for me.
Mm-hmm.
Putting the two blocks and being like, actually, I think this one will work better, right? I want to be able to offer those blocks and being physically well, mentally well, social or spiritually well, and financially well. So those are the things that I'm establishing in the next 5 years. Poshmark hits the financially well because we offer goods at cheaper prices, and that helps people's budgets. It helps the environment, which also helps my mental wellness and my spiritual wellness, that we are not buying and encouraging fast fashion and this throwaway consumer world. And so, I created a YouTube channel, which I have yet to post on, but I'm getting there, you guys. I'm getting there. Just got to wiggle out some more room in my day and I'll get there. But I want to take these like 15-minute chunks of like different yoga sequences or meditation sequences that are really bite-sized, and that people can just take the one bite, or they can take a couple bites and put them together, whatever time allows for them. And so there's a vision. I didn't have this vision when I started Posh. It all just sort of came together. Having to be open to it. I've pivoted so many times in my life that, I try to tell people like, have an outline for what you would like to see happen, but don't write it in permanent ink. Like, don't laminate that ish, right? Like, don't laminate it, because the minute you laminate it, that thing is going to get set on fire.
Oh, that's
like
good.
You just
Yep.
have an outline, and like a business plan. But be open to, you have not been introduced to the additional rewards that you can offer or receive. So, if you laminate that plan, you're walking around with it tight in your hand, and nothing can go out and nothing can come in. And if you have an outline, you're more walking around with an open palm, where things can leave when they need to leave, or you can let them go, and then you're also ready to receive. So when I teach yoga, I always tell people, wherever you, or not yoga, meditation, wherever you're at in this specific moment right now, decide if you need to be grounded and closed, hands down, or if you're needing to let go or receive, hands up. And that sort of also gives me a little insight to how they're feeling when they're sitting in my class, and I can kind of gauge their energy and what they may need at that moment. But that's also something good to walk around with in your brain for the week. Are you walking around today with your palms down? You're good. You can't handle anymore, or you don't want to let anything go, or you just want to cherish what you have at this second, or you kind of need some energy, you kind of need some inspiration, or you need to let something go. So that's how I approached Posh, and now it's like blossomed into this thing. And as I share it with my partner, he was actually the one that came up with the idea of a 5-year plan. Cause I was like, I'm going to do this. And I'm going to, I'm like, oh, just like a freaking little hummingbird, like all over the place. And then he's like, why don't we think about it like this? Let's like slow it down, do all the things, but don't have to do them all right now, which is what I normally do. Space them out. And that way you can do the job that I've worked really hard to get, and reap all the benefits from that. My paycheck, my pension, my medical benefits, all of those things. And then taper that off when you've built up this. And then you're not like running out of, I'm not running on fumes and burning out kind of with 2 full-time jobs, because that's basically what's happening. And then I'm glad he did, because it let me like be inspired for other things. And now I'm going to be grandma for the first time, and I'm going to need time for that. And I'm going to be the best weird grandma there is. And my son will attest to that. But so it'll just be a new chapter, and I encourage everyone to just look at what it is, why they do what they do, whether it's posh or not posh, and if it's serving them. If it's not, maybe you need a 5-year plan. I don't know.
It is so easy, especially when you're passionate about something or you get excited about something, to want to do it all right now, right? Like, I'm excited about it. I want to do Posh, and I want to do yoga, and I want to do meditation, and I want to have my website, and I want to do YouTube because I have a fire for it. And so that is really solid advice of, you're not going to give up on the things you want. You're going to let them roll out naturally, which is also great advice of, let things come to you. And when one door closes, while of course it can feel really uncomfortable and sad in the moment, when that door closes, perhaps look what you're open for now. You had said your yoga studio had closed, and now you are open with more time to do other things. And really, just through your whole story, Carla, I've heard what a giving person you are. Giving your home to your son so he can have a place for his baby, and giving your time to Poshmark, not just to make money as a transaction, but you're giving people tips that they can use. You're giving them your attention, your time. You're just such a kind, giving person. And just know that we see that and we appreciate that in your shows and on Posh.
Thank you.
We run the Posh podcast, yes, to find out about you, but also to kind of pick your brain about, well, we know you're successful. So how do we take these things from you that would make us successful? And I know you had spoken a lot to connection, that you were in shows that you felt connected to, that you work really hard to connect to your audience. So perhaps you want to speak more to connection, or even just like, what do you do in your shows? What are you trying to take from other people's shows that have gotten you to this successful point?
Yeah. So one of the best advices I've ever gotten a long time ago was from a manager who said, learn every single thing you possibly can to put in your basket, and because you never know when you're going to need to reach into that basket and use that thing. So you may not need it right this second, but you may need it in 10 years or 2 minutes or whatever. So I did the same while watching Posh shows. I try to be a very positive person, because negativity really affects me. And so while I'm going to say, I've also learned what I don't want to do, and not because I'm judging that host or that thing. It's just like, that's not connecting to me, like that style or those items. Or like, I tried to do share shows when I first started, and I think I was pretty good at it, but it didn't spark anything in me. Like I wasn't, it wasn't my jam, right? So I stopped doing that. But going into as many shows as you can with a positive mindset, but also being able to identify the things that you can connect with and don't want to connect with. We have a saying in my house since my son was really little, and now my friends and I'll joke about it, whereas I always say, well, you need to take a no thank you bite. You cannot just say no. You have to take a no thank you bite. And so you're willing to, you can take a bite and you're okay to say no thank you, but you have to try it. And so I did the same thing with Posh. Like, I tried all the things. I tried this different setups. I tried this packing as you sell it. I tried the numbers. I tried the, different thing, having 2 screens versus 1 screen, all the things. And I think I finally found what works. Doesn't mean that I'm not going to keep trying things, but I have found like my base. So I will say that everyone looking to get into it, like, find your base and then do have some no thank you bites. Don't get your, it's hard to say. I'm going to try to say it in a positive way because I prefer that, but identify the opportunity when you're told no. So if you're not invited to be on a train, or if you reach out to somebody and they say no thank you or whatnot, identify what that opportunity is for you. Like, what can you learn from that? It's like getting cut from a sports team. I'd always tell my son, like, go talk to the coach and ask him what you can improve on. Ask him what stood out as far as, like, what was it that you weren't able to bring to his team, and what were the things you were. So same with Posh, like, most people are super nice. Not everyone. I have met some not nice people on Poshmark, but most people are super nice. Like, if someone reached out to me and I just said, like, I would really prefer you to have, more shows that I can watch, or more consistency. So that when you are on a train, we have someone to direct people to. But it's also about sharing your viewers. So it depends on the train. Like, is the train just to give you some hands-on? I wish Posh had like a training module that you could like do it with. In banking, we had that. Like, you could actually like do mock transactions without actually affecting anything. And I wish that Posh would do that. I wish we could have like a training live show type thing. So I would say, in lieu of that, do silent shows. That's how I learned the buttons behind the scenes. That's how I learned. You could screw up and nobody's looking at your face. You can even keep it silent. They don't even have to hear you. They don't have to hear all the cuss words you're saying because you've made some errors. But so silent shows. I will say the things that I think that make me that I've done that I feel like are unique, because I haven't heard other people talk about them. That doesn't mean other people aren't doing them. Is that I reply to every single rating that I get. Every person that rates my purchase they've received from me gets a actual thank you from me. I have now started trying to include people's names because it helps me learn their names. So, like, even if like, Mailer and More, I don't know what that person's name is. I'm not going to say thank you for your rating, Mailer and More. I'm going to go to their page. I'm going to see if they have their name. Some people don't, and that's okay. But if their name says like Susan, then I'm going to say thank you for your rating, Susan. A lot of people don't realize that we actually see those. And because they get an automatic response when they do it from Posh, but for a lot of people, then they reply and they're like, oh my gosh, of course. And then we engage in like a dialogue, and it's really amazing. So that's something that I do. I know it may, if that's not a priority for you, that's fine. But that for me is a priority for me. I will take the time to do that. When you're researching in other people's show, pay attention to who they're talking to, because they often Lisa will know the names of people I don't know, but I see them in my shows, and so like, I will try to make a mental note of it, of who they're talking to. So then when they come in my show, I may get it wrong, but I may say like, thank you, Julie. Your name is Julie, right? Like, I saw you in Lisa's show. I just want to make sure that I got your name right, and so it's customer service 101 is use your customer's name at least 3 times in an interaction. And so, and it also helps me remember. So Yeah. And some people put notes in packages. I do not. It doesn't mean I don't love you. It just means I have a full-time job and full-time Posh business. And so I have to use my connections in a different way. Like I need to be lying in bed at 11 o'clock at night, thanking people via my phone versus
Yes.
writing notes and putting them in the packages. So that's something I do that I think that's meaningful to me, and from the feedback I've gotten, seems to be meaningful to other people. And I have gotten real specific on how I package things, and people really seem to appreciate it. And so, like, my mom helps me out sometimes. She has been recently helping me out, and I won't let her package things. Not because I don't think she'll do a good job. It's because I feel like when you are packing something, that right there is the most important part of this entire thing. You want to make sure not only that your package, when they receive it, they feel the attention to detail and appreciation and love that you have for your business, and that you have for their purchase, and that you have for them. It's also where your mistakes will be made if you've forgotten to put an item in, or you put too many items in. And I would rather take that ownership of that mistake myself if it's made. Knock on wood, it has not been made since I started the number system, but it could happen. So that to me is the pinnacle, make or break. I have broken relationships with buyers in that moment. And then I've also gained tremendous respect from people in that moment of that extra little care. And all I do is make sure I double bag my stuff, and I Marie Kondo fold my items and get them in a bag, and people really appreciate it. So those are my two. Find the things that are important to you, and make sure you do them with great care and attention.
And I think that does go back to the market research, like you said. And I love the thank you bite. I feel like that is such a gem of advice, because you can apply that to all parts of this.
Mm-hmm.
So think about, like, on a live show, when you're just looking at people's live show flyers. Think about what draws your attention to it and maybe snag that. When you are in a show, what makes you leave it on as Posh TV, and what gives you that, like, ugh, like, I have to get out of here, and just, like, pay attention to that,
Mm-hmm.
notice that. Same thing with the packages that you get. When you get a package and you're like, oh my gosh, this is awesome. Like, what about it are you enjoying? And it could just be the no thank you bite. Try it. And if you try to message people and it's overwhelming to you, you
Don't
tried
do
it,
it.
it's not for you,
Because it
right?
will
So
feel
take all these.
unauthentic. It will feel rushed. My
Yes.
packing is simple, guys. I fold it nicely and I put it in a bag. That's it. There's no extra. I mean, sometimes I'll slide a little extra thank you something in if I have it, or if it just strikes me to do so. But it is so simple. But that is what is meaningful to me. And so, yeah. And I've tried the tissue paper in the box and all the things, and things I've mimicked from other people. It just didn't feel like me. And so I stopped doing it. I also use the bundling messaging through Posh, but I keep my messages, I try to keep them short, because I know my attention span is just about that short. And so I want to be able, you get so many notifications. I want to be able to skim, just like you're skimming my emails at work, right? Like, I just want to skim and be like, oh, Lisa, oh, like I did that before I came on. I'm like, oh my gosh, this is the first time she's going to be on a train. I want to make sure I go to that, but it was 3 sentences. I won't read your messages if they're really long. It's just, I don't have the bandwidth. And so I do that. It's just, that's what works for me, because you're going to attract people in like energy. You are an energetic being. And so even through a camera, like, your actions, your words, your smile, your everything is, it's all energy. Often when we don't like someone, it's because our energies are like, and in a minute you change your energy frequency, and so all of a sudden it aligns with that person. You're like, oh, you know what? How many times have you I've done this a lot, been able to say, when I first met you, I really didn't like you, but now you're my best friend.
Yeah.
That's okay. Side note, Lisa, Janelle shops with you. The girl with glasses is one of my best friends. We just went to Mexico. When her and I first met, our energies did not align. I asked her to leave me alone for 5 minutes because I needed a break. And she was like, nope. And the rest is history. We absolutely adore and love each other now because we've adjusted our frequencies and our energy and the way we interact. But it took a minute. It was not instant. And then some people are instant. Some people, like even PFFs through here, right? You're like, oh my gosh, I've never actually met you in person. And I like want to invite you to my family reunion, whatever. Like it is. So I'm trying to think if there was anything else I do. But those are like the main three, the bundling, the don't take things personally, look at it as an opportunity. I've heard people say like, and just try to stay positive, guys. Like I have a rotation of shows I pop into, and if the person is talking, most of those are because they're positive people, and I want to be surrounded by that. If I pop into a show and they're complaining, I probably am not going, and that could be complaining about anything. And it doesn't mean that it's not okay to talk about that thing. Just rephrase it in a positive way. Just like me saying, look at the opportunity, take a no thank you bite. I have very strong opinions about people who win givvies and don't support the host or don't that they're just there for that. But that's not really going to affect my daily life. So I'm not going to exert any energy on that topic or that, and why would you're just attracting more of that if you talk about it. The more you talk about something, the more it's happening, right? That's just an example because I hear it all the time. So I do have strong feelings. I just choose not to throw it out there. So yeah, be positive. Not the cliche, but the whole be the change you want to see in the world. Be the host.
Yeah.
When I opened my yoga studio, and I know we're wrapping up, but when I opened my yoga studio in my small town, it's because we didn't have one that I liked. We had one, and it was for old ladies. And I'm almost an old lady, so nothing against old ladies, but like it was not my jam. And I was like, okay, well then I'll just do it. I literally went and got trained to be a yoga teacher because I wasn't even a yoga teacher yet. I was like, let me go get trained. And I got trained, came back. I taught for a year at the YMCA. And then I was like, all right, I'm ready. And I opened my yoga studio and I created the environment and the space that I wanted to provide for my community. And selfishly, it was probably for me too, so do that with your shows, bring in the energy and the people will come. And be grateful for every person, be grateful for every purchase. If you aren't going to be grateful for someone paying $5 for something, then don't run it for $5. And when they do purchase for $5, celebrate that person because they're feeling good. They're not feeling good because I screwed Lisa over on this thing and I got it for $5. It's because they just scored a deal. Like when we score a deal on the rack somewhere or whatever. So
She's been telling you she has a lot going on. So tell us all the places that we can find you coming up now that we've liked your flyer, and we can, where can we look forward to
yeah.
seeing you?
So typically I have my standard show on Sundays at 2 p.m. Pacific. I live in Washington State, and so I will always say Pacific first. And it's called Stress Free Sunday. Aww. It's called Stress Free Sunday. And like I said, I teach a 60-second or less stress management technique. Sometimes it includes movement, sometimes it's meditation, sometimes it's breathing, and then sometimes it's all of the three. The formula that I have discovered that I like the best is teaching, having three in my pocket, having three options in my pocket, and on the hour when I start, and then each hour after I teach a different one, and then on that last hour I teach. We do all of them together. So people can pop in and pick up one or two, or if you stay for the whole thing, you can practice all of them, or if you just pop in at the end, you get them all at the same time. So that's the formula that's worked. And then in between that, we talk about clothes and we see what I have found, what treasures I have found earlier that week. So that's where you normally can find me is Sundays. But I'm also on a quadrillion trains this month because I kept saying, yay, yes, of course I will. And then I counted them up when I started putting them on my schedule. So this Saturday, I'm honored to be on the Trendy Treasures train again. Graceful Knit Miss Melanie she's one of the first ones that took a chance on me. My very first train was the Bargain Bus. Smashy Howard took a big chance on me and invited me to be on that one. And funny story is I actually sent her a message asking to be on it. And then like 2 days later, she messaged me and asked me to be on it. And I thought it was because I had sent her my amazingly funnily written application. And she didn't even see it. She saw it like after. She's like, oh, I was like, so it was just meant to be. But that was my first one. And then I think my second one was Graceful Knit. I think Melanie was the second one to invite me to be on a train. So I'm very grateful for that. So this Sunday is randoms on the Trendy Treasures train. I just think it's fun to say Trendy Treasures train as well. I'm not going to get the dates right. It's fine, you guys. I'm also on a train called The Dig, which is ran by Simply Susie. It's her, I don't know if it's the first one, but it's the first time I'm on it. And it's basically everything we sell has to come from the bins. From us digging in the bins, which is mainly where I source anyway. I source at the bins, and then I also source at a local thrift store that has specials on certain days, and that's when I go. Also on the closed carousel again, which is ran by Billy_827, I think. I've been on that one several times. It's super, super fun. So if trains land on a Sunday, it does take the place of my my Stress-Free Sunday show. I'm also for the first time going to be on the Hot Mess Express, which I am so excited for too. Oh my gosh. That's coming up on Valentine's Day, and the theme for that one is Cupid is Stupid, which is going to be super fun. I also love the theme because I don't do Valentine's Day. And I told my partner that like from the jump when we first started dating, like, hey, just so you know, like I don't do the Valentine's Day. And he's like, sweet, that's awesome. Yeah, I don't, he's off the hook. So a lot coming up, guys. So Sundays are my regular shows. And then in between that and my regular job, you will see me doing trade shows. So, yeah. And then just to remind everyone, so I did have my first Wild and Free Women in Washington's train that I hosted on January 22nd. It was a blast. Fern Rainwood, our mascot, she had a really great time, but she was a little sore and really tired by the end of the day from all the dancing. But it was so funny. So the original plan was to have the Women in Washington reseller event every 22nd of every month. But since I just found out that I'm going to be a grandma, and I'm going to be moving, and a lot of different things are happening very soon, we are pushing pause. So the Wild and Free is not gone. Fern is going to have to take a vacation. She's just going to take a break for now. But she will be invited back when things settle down a little bit. So you can still like the flyer, you guys, so that you're notified when we resurrect that train, probably just in a few months, maybe sometime this summer, we'll see. But the minute I found out about the baby, I was like, okay, well, something has to give. And that's kind of like how I manage all the things, right? Like I'm already full all the time. So if something new and amazing comes in, even as amazing as all the things that I am doing, I have to let go of something. And sadly, I thought, well, the train I got to let go of that. So for now, but yeah, so that's where you can find me, guys, or just popping in your shows and saying hi. You can also find me on Instagram. It's the same photo that's on my flyer. And it's _Carla Jean 143. And there's a lot of, I am a mental health advocate, a breast cancer survivor, a reseller, and just an overall goofball. And so I try to post a marriage of things to just encourage a balanced lifestyle. And so yeah, you can find some cool stuff, and go over and take a no thank you bite of my Instagram. And if you don't like it, then you don't have to go back. You just have to take a no thank you bite. So and then I do have a YouTube channel, but I don't have anything on it yet. So, but if you follow my Instagram, you'll be notified when things start getting posted there. And then I hopefully will be launching my website sometime this summer.
It's this beautiful personality. She's going to make you feel welcome and seen. You're going to get steals of deals on great items, and then you're going to get a beautiful package that makes you want to come back. So you won't be disappointed that you did. We appreciate you spending your whole lunch break with us. Bless a little bit more. Thank you so much for that. I know that this is such a great experience because I come to your shows, I see you as a moving face, you come to my shows, you see me as a moving face, but it's such a beautiful opportunity to have a synchronous conversation, to be able to be face to face. So I appreciate you being generous with your time, being generous with, you just gave us so much inspiring information that is going to apply to life as well as Poshmark. So I appreciate that. And I know you said it a couple times, but let me say congratulations on becoming a grandma. What a big, big change for the better. It's so very exciting. And you can give me your last line of how you think or what you want to leave the people with. But what I really got from it was the story that you told about your son, that my mom never gives up. And Poshmark can be a beast. Getting started is hard. Not being invited to the train shows is hard. Or being in train shows and not having as good of a show as somebody else is hard. And so for me, what I'm taking away from this whole episode is never give up, right? So you have a bad show, you learn from it, you don't give up, you try to be on a train show, and maybe that person reaches out to you without you even knowing it. So just keep going, never give up, and just know that this is a community. I'm here for you. Carla's here for you. All of these humans in the chat are here for you. So if you feel like giving up, if you're feeling frustrated, just reach out to one of us and we can help you have palms up and receive perhaps what is next for you.
Palms up, palms down. Yeah, the one thing I would take away is that we're all doing the best we can. And just keeping that in mind, seeing people in the chat that I admire and that I go to their shows and they're on here listening to me is crazy. So humanizing each other. I think that's the other thing that I love about this this Posh cast, is that it gives us an opportunity to humanize one another and others as well. So, and you guys, we need as much of that as we can get and provide in our world right now. So just remember that everyone's doing the best they can, and that sometimes that doesn't look like that, but you don't know the whole thing that I taught my friends on vacation when we had a grouchy server was, let's give them a backstory. What's going on in his life that we can empathize with, that'll not ruin our dinner, and that we can keep the energy positive at the table. And so if you're in a situation with the news or with your neighbor or with your boss, give them a backstory that you can empathize with, even if it's really out there. Because if they're not going to help you humanize them, then we have to, we can humanize them ourselves. So,
and that's protecting your energy.
That
right?
is all about you having control about your energy and how you wish to go through this world. I don't wish to go through it with negativity and hate in my heart. So no matter how hard some people try to make me hate them, I will not do it, sir.
Well, Carla, thank you again for being here.
Thank you so much, Lisa.
So I hope you don't work too hard. I hope you can take some time off. And I'm going to catch you real soon on all these train shows that you have. Okay, y'all have a wonderful day. Thank you for coming to the Posh Podcast, and we'll see y'all real soon.
Thank you, guys.